Today, I'm going to talk about how to open our heart. Because as I witness the world, I see people, their hearts are closed. You see, we live in a world where we often close our hearts to protect ourselves. I watch people, whether they're in relationships, or they're dating, or they're leaving relationships, and they feel that the only thing they can do is to protect their heart. And the older we get, the more we protect our heart because we've gotten into the habit of thinking that the heart needs to be protected. And that's the lie we're telling ourselves. Our hearts don't need to be protected, only our fragile ego. So let's take a few moments and understand the closed heart. A closed heart is guarded, resistant, and often filled with pain and disappointment. Think about your life. How many times have you thought you were in love and then that person didn't live up to your expectations or you didn't live up to theirs and you got hurt? Well, maybe, just maybe, you were living up to the wrong definition of love. What if you embodied the idea that love is the awareness and acceptance of our wholeness, and love is the awareness and acceptance of the other's wholeness? And then, as whole, perfect beings, you came together to collaborate, to support each other in living an expansive and fulfilling life. A different way of looking at it, isn't it? Then you wouldn't have to rely on that other person pleasing you and doing what you want. You see, we often close our hearts as a defense mechanism against being hurt and disappointed. We set up expectations for our partner, and our partner sets up expectations for us. And when they don't meet it, we don't think they love us, and we're greatly disappointed. Well, that's not their job. Their job's not to please you. Where did you come up with that silly idea? My wife's job is not to please me. My wife's job is to support me while being her most authentic self. And my job is to support her while being my most authentic self. And we share the journey. And in sharing the journey, guess what? We make it fun. Why would you live this life if it wasn't being fun? You see, a closed heart is constantly seeking to avoid discomfort and seeks to be in control. So let me ask you the infinite question. Are you trying to control your partner? You trying to control your kids? You trying to control your friends? You trying to control your parents? That's the ego. There's no love in that. That's slavery. And when they don't live up to your ability to control them, what happens? Oh, you don't love me. No, they just are following their instinct. And what's their instinct? Freedom. At the core of each human being is a desire to be free more than anything. And yet our ego wants to control our partner. And then we've got partners that are trying to control us. And when do we rebel? When we feel we're being controlled. You see, a closed heart limits our experiences and keeps us trapped in a cycle of suffering. If you have a closed heart, what are you not going to do? You're not going to try new things. And if you're single, you're certainly not going to try a different type of person, because if you're single, you've been wounded so many times, guess what? You're trying to get someone that you can control better, and it's never going to happen. One of the key things to opening the heart is letting go. When we hold on to our past experiences that are attached to negative emotions, our heart remains closed. Do you get that you have an experience? That experience is brought into your mind. Your mind looks at the subconscious part of it, sees whatever emotions you've got attached to a similar experience, attaches that emotion to it. So if you've had negative experiences in relationships, you'll go into a relationship, you'll see a quality that comes up with someone else, you'll identify it with a past quality, attach a negative emotion to it, and bam, you're never going to have a new experience, are you? Because you're in fear. You're attached to not having it the way it was. The only thing that can free you is to let go. What is letting go? It's forgiving. When we release the negative emotions, the experiences have over us, our hearts can begin to open. So what does that mean? It means to find a balance in life, to realize that in every situation, there's yin and yang, there's good and bad. It's all a matter of perception. There's nothing that's not a matter of perception. When you can embrace that, my God, you're going to set yourself free from the illusion that you can control. You see, one of the greatest tools we have is to practice mindfulness and awareness. By practicing mindfulness, we become aware of our inner experiences, and without judging them, we begin to understand the patterns that keep our hearts closed. That's right, we can go and look inside. We can look at our past relationships, the experiences in relationships, not judge them, but begin to understand, how did the ego, mine and my partners or ex-partners, come into play? And then my response was what? Yeah, to close my heart. But you've only got this moment. Why in the heck would you have your heart closed in the only moment you've got? Unless you didn't believe you were worthy of a greater experience. Because without an open heart, you're not fully experiencing life. It's a very limited experience. When we are mindful, we observe our thoughts and emotions as they arise and choose not to engage with them. As we continue to do this, we can detach from the habitual responses that lead us to close our hearts. One of the things that I love about the teaching of Sri Maharishi, Ramana Maharishi, is that he says, accept everything as it is. When you do that, you're in the moment. You're not in judgment. You're in love. There's never a need to forgive. By being a witness, your body's still going to have the same sensations. Your mind's going to still have the same feelings. But you, the you that's really in there, it's observing it. And it can observe when you start to have these feelings come up. And it can shift the way you perceive. And so then you become the master of your mind and body, instead of allowing the body and the mind to be the master of you. And now we can enter into a meaningful relationship, a relationship that is aware and engaged in becoming more aware of the beauty of this magnificent life. One of the things in order to become mindful and aware and to engage in love is to embrace and be vulnerable. Opening our hearts requires that we become vulnerable by willing to experience a full range of emotions, good and not so good. Let's be honest. Everyone is going to please you, and then you're going to be displeased with them because they're not going to meet every expectation. Sometimes they will, sometimes they won't. But if your heart is open, you don't require your partner to be in any specific way. You observe, you witness, and you accept. You see, by allowing ourselves to be vulnerable, we create space for deeper connections and more authentic relationships. I don't hide anything from my wife. I'm always Lee. I don't hide things from my sons, my granddaughter, the people close to me. I don't hide. I'm always going to be authentic. Because if I can't be authentic, what that's saying to the world is that I'm not worthy. When I'm not worthy, I'm not self-loving. And if I don't have self-love, I've got nothing to give. Living from the heart means approaching life with openness, love, and compassion, being open to greater experiences, accepting everything as it is, and understanding that everyone is in a unique and different place. And in that, there's a different relationship we all have to each other. I can love my wife, have an experience with her. I can love my son. The experience will be completely different. And it's not good, It's not bad. It just is. So what are some practical steps that you can use to open your heart? First and foremost, accept what is, because you can't change the past. Think of all the effort, all the time, all the money, all the worry, all the thought, all the energy you've wasted trying to change the past. You can't. You can't. Accept it and move forward. Next, meditate to quiet the mind and to connect to the heart. The heart is always there with wisdom and guidance, but we don't hear it because our monkey mind is chattering so much, trying to justify itself. You ever noticed how crazy it is in there, in your mind? The ever, never ceasing chatter of nothing? Meditate, quiet it. You'll find out your heart's always there speaking to you. Another great tool is to live in gratitude, because when we live in gratitude, we see life as in balance. When we see life as in balance, we're grateful for everything, because everything and anything that happens is an opportunity to experience love, to have a greater love, a higher love. Also now, begin to become a master of letting go so that you can free yourself to love now. See, you can't love in the past. You can't love in the future. You can only love now because that's the only time that is. And in order to do that, you've got to let go of that past. Once you do that, you'll never need to forgive again because you've already let it go. And here's a real simple one. Act with kindness, as this fosters a sense of connection with others, with ourselves, with the world. It also opens our heart to others when you're kind. When you give service without expecting anything in return, that's an act of kindness. And love will flow from your heart out into the universe, and the universe will allow that love to flow right back to you. It's simply the way life is. You see, opening your heart is a journey of self-discovery and transformation. It requires courage, commitment, and the willingness to live in the now and let go of the past. To live with an open heart means to put aside the ego and not worry about being judged by others. And that, my friends, is tremendous courage. And it takes commitment, because you're going to find there's very few people doing that. And so you've got to be comfortable within your own mind. You've got to be comfortable living from your heart. This is a journey of opening the heart. And it's one that only you can take. But it's so much more fun when we share it with others. When you find those people that allow you to be authentic, real, that are centered in growth and expansion, bring them in. Share with them openly, with an open heart, an open mind, and live in the now. And you will discover love right here on planet Earth today.